Take 4. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this pleated pocket, which is a really nice little pocket. It can be used for your lining inside of a lining pocket or an outside pocket. It has a little pleat right here, and that also you can decide whether or not you want it really wide open or not so far open. That'll determine how wide your pocket will open. But it's a really nice pocket. It really holds quite a bit, even at this dimension. So what you do is you score your paper, straighten the edge, and I already did my top seam allowance here, which is 3/8 of an inch, and drew my pencil line. And you decide how wide you want this pocket. I think I'm going to make it about 7 inches by 7 inches just for this demonstration. Okay, so I measure out from this middle fold 3.5 inches, and pin, and then 3.5 inches this way, and pin. Okay, and then you draw your pencil line. Which is this one right here. I have a couple different pins here. Okay, so that's the width of the actual pocket, and then you're going to decide how wide you want your pleat. But first I'm going to see what height I want, but I'm going to make it about 7 inches long too. So from here I measure down 7 inches and pin. Pin to the other side so that you can draw your line across that represents the bottom of the bag. And then from that line I might as well go ahead and do my 3/8 inch seam allowance. So that'll determine where this pattern ends. And actually I'm just going to go ahead and cut right there to get it to be so I don't have to worry about the bottom part. Okay, and then in order to get this pleat, you decide how far you want that to be, or open you want it to be. I'm going to do, on this one I do an inch and 3/8, but this one I'm going to do a 7/8 to see how that looks. So I measure out 7/8 from that, the width of the pocket, and you pin. And then I'm going to measure another 7/8 for the other part of the pleat, pin, and then I add my seam allowance, a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and pin. And then on this bottom part here, I should have actually extended this line to here. Where you want your pleat to taper in, you put little marks here. I made mine taper in about an 1/8 of an inch, so it goes all the way down, tapers all the way down. So I mark those. And I do 3 of those, and then I also mark where my seam allowance will be. That's 3/8 of an inch. So now what you do is you connect these dots. So from that first pleat, you draw your pencil line to that bottom pin. That's the first pleat. Then you do your second pleat. Okay, and then you do your seam allowance. So I have my seam allowance, the 3/8 inch seam allowance. It actually goes down to here. This should have been 3/8 out, I'm sorry. Okay, and so that's 3/8 for the seam allowance. And then my pencil didn't work. Let me try that again. Okay, that's for that. So, and I like to actually score these pleats, so I can, and also it helps to determine how much you're going to cut right there. So I do the score for the first pleat, and this is a score for the inside of the pleat, and then the second pleat right here. Well, it's actually just one. It's 1.5 pleats. Okay, and then I draw my. Well, actually, I can cut at this point where I'm going to cut it. Okay, so that's a 3/8 inch, and then from this side, I also can cut the left side because this goes flat. So I'm going to measure out 3/8 of an inch here. 3/8 of an inch here for the seam allowance. That's where the pattern ends on this side. Okay, so here I'm going to fold this to. Oops, my pattern ripped a little bit. You can fold it up. Oh, if that ever happens to you, just use some tape and tape up your pattern. Sometimes I press too hard on my awl. So I'm going to repair my little piece right here. Okay, and so I fold there, and then this is the seam allowance, which I sew down. We'll be sewing down. So you fold these in, and they're all going to straighten up right there. It's all going to line up. So you see this little triangular point here. We can now cut that off by taking your ruler and just trimming it off. So this will align properly. My blade seems to be dull. I don't know why. Okay, so there you go. That's how that's going to be. And actually you should continue your 3/8 inch seam allowance. This kind of went over. You measure down 3/8 from here to here for this part of it, and here, because these will also be turned. Okay, so that's basically the pocket, and it's a really great little pocket. And then what you do is so that gets turned right there. You turn all the way around. Another nice thing is that you could put this down into your seam, a bottom seam. You don't have to do that. But it also can be a standalone pocket and then you turn all the 3/8 inch around, and here too. And then you're going to have your zipper, which after you've turned this, you'll sew your zipper to this piece. This is a little bit big of a zipper. You'll sew that down, and so this will be a standalone piece, and then you'll be able to sew this piece down with your zipper and put that in place and sew all the way around where that will go. And then, so that's how that works, and it does open up nicely. It's a really nice little pocket for different types of bags, and I like it because it's sort of flat, so it doesn't take up a lot of dimension inside the bag, but it really functions. Okay, so that's about it.